I want to start just by asking you a question. This is something that I've thought about a lot, and I wrote about in my book as well. And that is, so just starting with this glamorization of virginity in religion, starting with Mary. Okay, so Mary, the mother of Jesus. Now, this is something in Christianity, it's in Islam too. She was pure and chaste, innocent, because she had never had sex and she was a virgin. And Jesus was born in a very one way. Her vagina was a one way canal, essentially, birth canal, because God forbid any man ever touch her. And this is kind of this to me seems like it's related to everything from slut shaming, victim blaming, honor culture. I wouldn't say it's the only root of it, but it's such a huge part of just most of the people who follow Christians and Muslims, the two largest Abrahamic religions in the world. Um, so just to start with the taboos, the glamorization of identity and taboos around sexuality. Um, how do they? Why is religion so obsessed with them?
It goes deeply into the simple notion that if you can control somebody's sexual drive, sexual nature, then you can control them. And this was something that the patriarchal religions discovered fairly early. You'll notice it does not appear in the non-patriarchal religions. You don't see it in Wicca or paganism. Actually, you don't even see it in a lot of so-called tribal religions. I mean, they can be patriarchal. But the fact is, early on, patriarchal religions learned you have to control your women. And the reason you have to control your women is because you need to know who your children are. And then if you know who your children are, you can pass not your genes, because they didn't know anything about that. You pass your property on to them. So it's really important to control sexuality. And that was the basis for patriarchal religions like Zoroastrianism, like Judaism. Christianity comes along and it's just another iteration, if you will, of this. And what it comes along and says, maybe we can totally control. I mean, think about this, Ali. In the Catholic tradition, the best person in Catholicism is the celibate person, the person who never has sex in their entire life. Now, if you were to ask me what's the most perverted sexual thing you can think of, my answer to that question would be a Catholic priest. That is the most perverted thing. Now, if you can control somebody so much that they don't even want to sexually reproduce, that's some pretty powerful control.
Yeah.
Now, go back.
Something. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and then that ties to the Mary thing, because sexuality itself is defined as wrong, as evil, as a part of the fall with Adam and Eve. So you have to have the Virgin Mary. She has to be pure and non-sexual. You cannot have. I write about this in Sex and God. I say the Virgin Mary has to be a virgin in order for this whole sex narrative and sexual control narrative, because she cannot pass on the sins of Adam and Eve. Her being a virgin means she was impregnated by God. So the sins of Adam and Eve are not coming through her. So that means Jesus is pure. Now, of course, all this narrative comes 200 years, at least 100 years after this whole so-called Jesus. I don't believe the guy existed to begin with. But even if he did, it comes 100 to 120 years after. So the fine-tuning of this Mary narrative didn't come out of the year 1. It came out of the year 90.
You asked in your book if one thing, it said, did Jesus masturbate?
Yep.
Which is a great question, because I mean, he was celibate, he wasn't married, he didn't reproduce. Nobody can think that. I mean, nobody really thinks of him as having sex. So
right.
What did he do to get? Like, did he ever get off? What did he do to get? Did he to be something? And I think
If you go Google "Did Jesus masturbate?" you'll see my talk. I give a whole talk on "Did Jesus masturbate?" It's been quite a popular talk over the years, and there's 4 possible answers. I'm not going to give away the answer, but I
We should
know
have made
the
that
answer.
the title of this show. Did Jesus masturbate?
Go,
Maybe we'll have another episode.
no, go find the people if you want to see the 4 answers. Go find the video. I did want to see like the way I don't know if you agree with this or not, but the way I look at it is if the way the reason why sexuality needs to be is controlled by religion, and even not just religion, other authoritarian dogmatic worldviews as well, is by controlling women, by controlling access to women, taking away the freedom for women themselves to decide who has access to them sexually, by giving that control to men over who has access sexually to women, you can control men. So this is about men controlling other men by having the say on who has access to women, because this is most powerful, one of the most powerful ways to motivate men to follow your commands, because you get to say who gets to be with what woman. What do you think? Is that a
Well, actually, you're right down the alley of a great book that was written just a couple of years ago by Dr. Hector Garcia called Alpha God. You should talk to Dr. Garcia, by the way. Should be on your list of people to talk to. And he will explain it almost exactly like you just did. And the simple fact is, from his perspective, I don't write about it in that perspective in my own book, though I don't disagree at all. I agree very much with him. And that is, we're all primates, and we tend to act like primates. Well, if you look at all the primates, from gorillas to chimpanzees to bonobos, you can see, or even orangutans and other non-great apes, you can see primate behavior looks a whole lot like us. And the control of women, the control of females, the control of mates is really important in the gorilla and the chimpanzee world, not nearly as important in the bonobo world. So we're just following the line of primates, controlling access to mates, and controlling mates is a big part of the way the chimpanzees work, big part of the way the gorilla community works too.